Here we go, buddy. Let's get it. Well, I'm Lloyd, and this is my dog, Barney. And Barney, like some of the rest of us, are getting a few years on us here. And he started having trouble getting up and down these stairways here at our house. So what I decided to do was build a conveyance. We call it the Barney bus. And he's really good about getting on it and going downstairs. It started out as kind of a conveyance for treats. So he would get in there and do just about anything he wanted as long as he got treats. But he's used to it now. Every night we take it downstairs to go to bed, and every morning, quite often, we'll take it back upstairs. He's ready to go again. Basically, I built it out of used plywood and some unistrut material, which is a track. I bought some rollers off of Amazon to run in the unistrut track, and I bought a winch from Harbor Freight and a motorcycle battery to power the 12-volt wrench, 12-volt winch, I guess. And yeah. It seems to work well.
How long would you say it took you to construct from start to finish?
Well, like most of my projects, it took a little longer than expected, so I probably worked on it for about a week to 10 days. The real saving grace was I did use CAD for the construction and design of it. By CAD, I mean cardboard assisted design. So,
could you elaborate on that a little more? You like had a blueprint that you could cut out and then work with the wood?
Yeah, I had a big sheet of cardboard, and what I had to do was work out when you get to the bottom, the thing still needs to sit level, even though part of the card is cut on the diagonal so that it tracks and stays level all the way. So I used the cardboard to get it all worked out with the geometry for what was level and what would work with the track. And once I had that worked out, I was able to make a plywood cart with some modifications as we went. To make it work for him. And he took to it very readily.
But again, from start to finish, once you did the cardboard, it was a matter of months, weeks?
Oh no, like weeks, like 10 days, I would say. Yeah. And it seemed to work pretty well. He was a little bit reluctant at first, but once I showed him that he would get treats at the other end, he was very quick to get into it.
What would you say how much you expended on the whole project, start to finish?
Well, my thought was, I'm thinking less than $300. A lot of the wood that I used, I just had here as scrap wood left over, actually from the construction of this log cabin years ago. It laid on the porch and just needed to have something done with it. And some of the other stuff was left over from construction jobs, because I worked in construction and you have leftover pieces and parts. And I'm sure that all of the nuts and bolts and hardware came off of construction sites when they finished up and demobilized off the job. So I would say probably $300 or less for what I did. There was the winch at Harbor Freight, maybe $89. Motorcycle battery, maybe $40. A couple of 10-foot sections of unistrut. I happened to have a little welding machine, so I could do whatever limited welding I needed to do for the unistrut for the fasten down. And that's about it, plywood, some leftover carpet so he doesn't slip around on the thing, and yeah, went together pretty well.
And you have that drop-down door, just a little simple latch.
He knows to go in and out once that's down.
What's the weight capacity? How much can that contraption carry?
Well, the winch itself is rated at 2,500 pounds. It's a 12-volt winch designed primarily for ATVs or side-by-side sort of rough terrain vehicles. So it's more than adequate for what we've got to do here. And I've got the actual mechanism is in the cart itself. The battery and the winch are housed in there, and the winch cable just comes up and fastens to a secure point at the top. here in the basement, you can see this is the spot where the attachment point comes through this main support beam, which is basically a 6x10 beam supporting the floor above. I drilled a hole through, ran some threaded rod through, put this piece of aluminum channel that I happen to have there as a big washer to kind of spread the load across the top of the beam there. And that's what actually secures the cart. If this were to pull out, the whole cart would go tumbling to the bottom.
So this is essentially the top of the tram right here. That's the ground floor. Perfect.
So far, it's been in for well over a year, and it seems to be working just fine. There's no problem. I can take this myself, which I've done many times, or you can just send your laundry basket or your groceries down to the pantry, depending on what you've got going on. Step out. I've actually used this myself. I broke my ankle falling off a ladder last year. And so I could crawl into this thing at the bottom and use it to bring me up to the top and then crawl out and kind of stand up and get on my walker or crutches up here. So it worked out pretty timely for me as well as Barney. And so you can see that this cart was not just a set cube or rectangle. There was a little bit of geometry where we had to have it built according to the fall of the steps. And one of the problems you run into is the cart gets to the bottom and it works either so it matches the floor at the top or it would match the floor at the bottom, but you can't have both. So I elected to have it match the floor at the top so it was easy for Barney to get in and out. And down here I actually used more of my scrap wood to build this platform that we're standing on so it had a landing spot. There we go.
And that's how he gets in.
Barney comes out. Now, he's still got a couple of steps to navigate, but it's certainly better than trying to navigate the entire array of steps above us here. So, it seems to be working well for him. You can see in here, this is the motorcycle battery, and it's wired through to the winch located on this side of this panel here. There's some soundproofing connections, that sort of stuff here, but everything is mounted within the body of the cart itself, so that it's self-contained.
Can I see your control unit in your hand?
Sure.
What do you want to say about that?
This is just an off-the-shelf. It actually came with the winch as the control unit for the winch itself. So if you buy the winch at Harbor Freight, this comes with it. There's also a wireless control that we've got hanging on the handrail at the top that comes with it as well. So I can be standing at the top in the evenings. It's time for Barney to go to bed. And typically we'll park this thing down here out of the way at the bottom all day so we can traverse the stairs ourselves okay. But at night I can take the wireless and bring this cart all the way to the top and then leave the wireless up there and use this handheld cabled control for bringing him down. And it'll park down here, and this is where he spends the night. Okay, so this unit is designed to run on tracks on top of this unistrut material, and they make specific trolley brackets designed to run in this track. Typically, they're used for an overhead hoist, but they seem to work just fine for weight bearing in the track itself. And the nice thing is they're locked into, so they keep this cart very stable. So what I did was I just welded some Simpson hardware brackets off the unistrut, fastened them down with some screws, and I welded a piece of angle iron here at the bottom and every so often going up just to maintain the distance between these. So it's like railroad tracks, so it kept the same distance between the unistruts from bottom to top. So I've got a few spacers welded in there every once in a while, every few feet, to accomplish that. All good, buddy?
Would you say he actually enjoys riding on this Barney bus? Is that the term, Barney bus?
Yeah, I call it a Barney bus. You know, if you look at some other projects people have done for their dogs online, some of them are painted up to look like a school bus or any number of things. But I'm pretty just pure function here, and I just leave it painted just the way it came. But Barney does seem to enjoy it, although I think the bigger motivator for him is actually the treats that he knows I have always in my pocket. He's a golden retriever. He's really food motivated, and you can get him to do just about anything if you get food in your pocket. So I try to use that to our advantage.
And this is a necessity because he can't physically. He has cancers and he's had chemo, and it's just too weak to negotiate the steps. Is that correct?
Exactly. You know, he's on well, he's taking prednisone, which really troubles the action of his rear end and hindquarters. So this is a way to be sure that he can get up and down. Typically, he can go outside and go around, but as the winter comes on, we've got like several feet of snow out there. This is his only way to get from the basement up to the main floor every day. So, yeah, we get quite a bit of use out of this over the wintertime here for sure.
And this is a good point to identify yourself, where you live and who we are.
Oh, yeah, my name is Lloyd Jenkins. My wife, Maxine, she and I live here in Seeley Lake, Montana, where we get quite a bit of snow and cold weather every year. So it's good to have some means to move things around inside without having to go outside. In this case, we use it for Barney, but we also use it to convey me, like when I had a broken ankle. We use it to bring laundry up and down. We use it to bring canned goods down to the pantry, which is built under the stairs down here. So it's finding a lot of applications in our household. So I'm pretty glad that I built it and that it's working out so well.
Any parting words here?
You can do it. If you need to take care of your dog, I think that you can find a way to make this happen. None of this is rocket science. It's just knowing your mechanics and being able to tack together a few things. And no, it's not OSHA approved. And no, you know, there's many things you have to be careful of, I would guess. But so far, it's given us trouble-free and injury-free operation, so it's not been an issue.
So this wouldn't necessarily be recommended for a renter. If you're a homeowner, then you're good.
Yes, every situation is going to be different in that, you know, we have a fairly rustic log cabin here, and it was easy for me to entertain the notion of, yeah, I'm going to fasten things to our stairway because it is pretty rough sawn timber that we're talking about. But if you've got a highly finished stairway, you may have to take a slightly different approach. But the logic and the geometry and the physics of it all, I think, stays the same. If you've got a small dog, it's a lot easier. I don't think I would like to try this for a much larger dog than a 100-pound golden retriever. So yeah, you can kind of use that to guide what you want to do. And I encourage you, you can see things that I saw where other people have done similar things, for taking their little dog up and down the stairs to taking their mother-in-law up and down the stairs in these things. So, you know, there's ways to do it. We're all getting older. We'll just find a way to ensure that we can stay in our own home for the duration. Okay, so if you've been wondering, this is the actual roller that I use for the construction of the Barney bus. It's actually sitting on 4 of these rollers, and the wheels on it fit inside of the channel formed by the unistrut channel. And you can see that rolls back and forth. And originally, I believe these things are designed to hang in a channel from overhead and perhaps support a hoist that you could move around the shop floor. But as you can see, they roll pretty nice and smooth. And Barneys have been in service for like, I don't know, like a year and a half. And frankly, I just bought these off of Amazon, and they seem to be widely available. Okay, these are the brackets on which the Barney bus actually sits. The plywood is bolted through these brackets here. As you can see, they roll pretty easily up and down. The nice thing about these is they're locked into the track. They roll freely, but it keeps it from the cart. Say if the weight gets too far towards the front, it keeps it from tipping over. We don't have a problem with that, but it's good to know they're locked in very substantially. And you can see they just run up and down, just like this. There's 4 of them underneath the Barney bus.